Good morning, students. Today we are going to read internal migration in the topic of population in the subject of geography O levels. So concentrate yourself. We are going to start now. Internal migration. And the first thing which we are going to read in internal migration is rural to urban migration. This result of a combination of the push and pull factors. Push factors actually applied from the rural areas and pull factors actually applies from the urban areas. So there are some things in the rural areas which push people towards urban areas, and there are some things that are in urban areas that pull people from the rural areas. So read carefully. Push factors operate from the rural side include: number one is mechanization of the agriculture. Machines have replaced animal and manpower and thus have rendered a significant majority of the rural workforce jobless. The unemployed from the rural areas are forced to migrate to major cities. The second factor is bad crops. Due to floods, drought-like situation, and pest and insect attacks cause huge losses to the farming community, who feel compelled to migrate. The next factor is poor social services. Health, education, and financial services are not satisfactory in rural areas. Tertiary specialist health care is available only in cities. For example, brain specialist, heart specialist, these kind of the services are called tertiary health services. These are specialist services which are not available in rural areas, only available in major cities. So this is another thing. Quality education, both by public and private sector, is also offered in major and developed cities. Increasing pressure on land due to rapid population growth. Dispute over land due to problems related to inheritance are also the factor. Population growth rate in rural areas is even higher, but the land productivity fails to match this high growth rate. And food production from small-sized and fragmented land holdings is on the decline, and as a result, people to find better living conditions in cities. So these are actually some push factors which push people from the rural to urban areas. At the same time, there are some attractions in the big cities. These are called actually pull factors which attract the people from the rural areas to come into the big cities. So now we are going to read. Pull factors operate from the urban side and include expectation of the better life with more earning by way of good variety of the jobs offered to skilled and unskilled migrants. Second pull factor is better social and financial services, health, education, and transport facilities. A better organized life is an added attraction. Next pull factor is variety of entertainment and recreation facilities in the form of the theater, cinema, and parks. Next pull factor is attraction to the glamour of the big cities also charm the rural youth who decide to try their luck for getting rich in a short time. And other pull factor is, in many cases, migrants who are already settled in cities convince their relatives or friends to migrate and join them in cities. So students, this is actually the migration from rural to urban side. So this is a combination of push and pull factors. The next thing which we are going to read in the internal migration is seasonal migration. There are two types of the seasonal migration. One is called transhumans, and second is called seasonal. Second is called seasonal migration of the labor force. Okay, first thing that we are going to read is transhumans. Seasonal migration of the herdsmen with their cattle, goats, and sheep in two forms. So there are two types of the transhumans. Number one is called movement from the Balochistan to the Indus Valley. This occurs during the winter in the Balochistan plateau when it is very cold and snowfall continues. Groups of the herdsmen migrate to less cooler Indus Valley, sell some of their animals, work as temporary labor, and go back when winter is less cold. The phenomena is not very common now. So in transhumans, this is one migration that is actually from one place to another, that is from Balochistan to Indus Valley. The second kind of the transhumans is in northern areas. The people move from lower to upper surface in the time of the summer. So look now, practiced in Himalayas, Karakoram and Hindu Kush mountains by farming families living in the narrow river valleys below the winter snow line. During the summer, the snow line moves up. Between the two snow lines, an area becomes free of the snow. Lush green grass grows as water from the melted snow comes down to this area during the summer. Families living at lower height move with their livestock, cows, sheep, and goats to this area and live there during the short summer period. Only some men of the selected families practice this type of the transhumans. From the milk of the animals, butter and ghee are made for the family. This old practice is dying out because of the various socio-economic developments and improvements in the agriculture and irrigation. So these are two types of the transhumans. One is from Balochistan Plateau to Indus Valley. In the time of the winter, the people actually move from cooler areas to less cool area. And second kind of the transhumans is actually moving from below to up of the hill in the time of summer when the snow line moves up. So they move between the they move to the area between the two snow lines that actually get lush green grass because of the water from the melted snow. Next, next thing which we are going to read in the topic of the internal migration is seasonal migration of the labor force. This is actually from the area of the less employment to the area of the more employment, but in a very selected time. So this is seasonal migration of the labor force, practiced by the agricultural labor force that offers services during sowing and harvesting season, mainly in Punjab and Sindh. Owners of the medium and large size farms hired this labor force from other areas. Landless workers offered their services to the same landlord for years. Increased mechanization is likely to make this practice less popular because increased mechanization means machinery is taking place of the animals and people. Sugar mills also employ seasonal labor force. They hire workers from the surrounding areas during the sugarcane crushing season that lasts for a few months. After the crushing season, they return to their villages and find other jobs, for example, in cottage industry. And finally, we are going to read the effects of the internal migration. So the first effect of the internal migration is results of the rural to urban migration is loss of the workforce from the rural areas because the people, particularly men, are moving from the rural to urban areas. So workforce is less in the rural areas. Then change in the composition of the rural population, that is high female ratio, as mainly men migrate. This is the other effect. Next is migrants offer various services to urban areas but also cause many problems. And the problem is shortage of the houses leads to the rise of the shanty or squatter settlements, that is called kachi abadis. So this is the first bad impact of the migration of the people from rural to urban areas. Next is underdeveloped and randomly designed housing units with substandard living facilities. So this is another bad impact. Next is rise in land prices and rents of the rented building units. This is another bad effect. Burden on various civic agencies also increases and their performances is affected badly. In civic agencies are, for example, water supplying agencies. So pressure on the water and sewerage, electricity, gas, and transport increases, and this leads to further problems. Next bad impact is unemployment for the old urban settlers as the migrants offer services on cheaper rates. And other bad impact is the migrants may indulge in crime, violence, addiction, and similar antisocial activities. So students, this was the topic of internal migration in the topic of population in the subject of geography O levels. So this is one of the very important topic. Read this lecture again very carefully, students. Learn it and make your notes. Thank you so much.